One thing in statistics we know is that sequences of events can often be modeled as states and state transitions. And this allows us sort of to see what are the next probable states that we might transition to given the current state we're in. And this app is kind of a fun take on that idea where we start with some sort of primer text and then use the transitions between words to kind of create our own sentences and generate sentences. And we let you upload your own data as primer text, but we kind of provide you with this uh, Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss example to start. So the first thing you'll see is like you have that choice of data set upload. It can be a CSV, a text file, or just raw text, and we will parse it to produce the state transitions for you. And you'll see here's the text. We can kind of expand the window as we see fit if you want it bigger. And then we click process. And what this will do is it'll sort of create the transition matrix. Sometimes can take a little bit of time depending on the length of the primer text. And then what's kind of neat here is I can pick any word from that primer text, for instance, brother. And if I say compute statistics, what we get are sort of the two words that could possibly follow that and the probability. And you can sort of play that game with any of these. So if I say bad and say compute statistics, we can either transition to bad day or bad had. And then we can do kind of some more of that. Maybe let's do one more example. Cat, compute statistics, can go to pat or can go to stop. But that part might not be the most interesting. We also have this tab up here for constructing sequences, which is essentially constructing sentences. So if I click that, you'll see randomly generated sentences or parts of this text start appearing. And every time we actually process the data, we can generate a new one. So for instance, one thing I can do here is I can say number of sequences, let's bump that up to 6. And let's say compute statistics. And now we get 6 new sequences here that are generated randomly from the transition probabilities. So if we select a state like cat, we can actually tell it start the sequence from our selected node. So in this case, every sentence it generates has to begin with cat, and they're all possible sentences given the transitions that we see from the primer text. If I go back, we're not enforcing that the state we're selecting be the first one. I can also specify a maximum length. Maybe I want to do some shorter sentences. These ones are all 3 maximum, and you can specify a minimum. I could say minimum of 2, maximum of 3, and we get sequences like that up at the top each time we click compute statistics. Okay, finally, one thing I wanted to show is the actual transition matrix. This is very large because there's quite a bit of words, but we can zoom in and you can sort of see every word along each axis with this interactive heat map, where you can sort of see what's the actual probabilities of each of these. And that'll kind of give you an impression of which ones are actually possible given the state that you're in to transition.